Zelda is great. I don't think I've ever played a single bad one. Each one makes me feel like I'm gonna save the day. I don't think I've ever played a single Zelda game that has ever filled me with existential dread or serious depression after and while playing it. Huh? Huh. Wonder what that was. Oh well. Die! Hey there everyone, it's Gabe-Up, and I really like Zelda. It's no secret that Zelda is a series of one of the most popular game franchises of all time. Not to mention that thousands of other creators are constantly singing its praises. Having such a strong and loyal fan base will really show what these games are all about. So anyways, what the heck does that mean for me? Gabe-Up. Well, as a beginning content creator and one major Zelda fan, I've decided to take it upon myself to bring to you, the audience that watches my channel, another Zelda analysis slash game review slash whatever you want type of videos to add to the other piles of videos that make up the video game content creation space. Not to mention with the Game Awards right around the corner, depending on when I get to finish and upload this, of course, but we have Tears of the Kingdom up there as one of my main contenders for Game of the Year. And with that, I would like to make my first Zelda video as a show of good faith and hoping that all goes well. So there's been a certain Zelda game that I've always found myself drawn to in my life, even from when I was a little kid, even if I couldn't understand the messages of it at the time behind it. But now that I'm, of course, older, I've been able to grasp the subtleties that make this game even more charming to all types of audiences across the Zelda fandom. Of course, the gameplay itself is one of my personal favorites, with a wide variation of items that do more than take up a couple of C slots, the strange, wacky world that you find yourself experiencing, and the challenging weight of it all. Just as a warning to you guys, this video is completely of my own opinion. If you have differing opinions or want to bring in a new thought, feel free to judge me down in the comments down below. So anyways, that about wraps up this incredibly long and drawn out intro. Stay tuned for just a moment while I bring to you Gabe-Up's fall into The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
So Link is wandering through the Lost Woods trying to find Navi from Ocarina of Time when suddenly you get absolutely juked off your horse and get all of your goods stolen. Specifically the Ocarina of Time, your trusty instrument from the previous game that now serves as a remembrance from Princess Zelda. This is the child timeline if you didn't know. This is where we meet the antagonist of the game. Skull Kid, he's a massive jerkwad. Now look at you, you've got your horse stolen and now you're doing sick flips off tree stumps just to fall into the psychedelic hole, chock full with imagery from the entire game to come. What's that? Now you've turned into a weird little Deku Scrub boy that also looks suspiciously like the pea shooter from Plants vs. Zombies and got stuck with this annoying fairy named Tattle that's also not your previous one, so you're still looking for that one at the exact same time. So after getting turned into a wooden boy, the game gives you a tutorial segment on how to use your new little form. Just cross some platforms by diving into flowers and glide your way across each obstacle. Once you're done with that, make sure to get your first taste of existential dread when you look at the sad wooden husk that used to be you. Skull Kid, he did some really messed up things, and this is sadly only the beginning. Well, after that, you find yourself in a strange new world, and with a strange new world comes a strange new guy. Meet the Happy Mask Salesman, the Overlord Miyamoto insert, carrying Mario's face on his back. Once you try to leave, Mr. Maskman tells you that he can help you with your sad little situation if you only get two things for him: your stolen ocarina and the mask that the Skull Kid was wearing. Easy enough, right? Well, maybe not so much, because the world is unfortunately going to end in 3 days, so it's your job as the hero to save the day, but not without doing a bunch of side quests in Clocktown first. Speaking of the side quests, the ones in Majora's Mask are a stroke of genius for the time the game was made. Zelda itself always came up with revolutionary ideas in the gaming field even before Majora's Mask, but this one took it to new heights. Each character has their own story, and the interconnected nature of this world ensures that your actions ripple through the lives of Terminus inhabitants. It's a testament to the game's depth and attention to detail. So after doing multiple tasks over the course of the 2.5 days in Clocktown, like getting your magic meter by collecting stray fairies so now you can shoot explosive snot out of your shooter hole, as well as playing hide and go tag with these little potato children who give you the passcode of which you need to enter the observatory that has the most crisp theme in the entire game, get the Moon's Tear after watching Skull Kid spank himself like a complete weirdo, to finally making best friends with the toilet hand. I mean, you also gotta use the tear for the merchant to use the flower to get into the clock tower top part, I guess, but after all of that, you finally get the Ocarina of Time within the last hours of the night, and playing the Ocarina of Time will reset you back to the start of the first day. Now, Majora's Mask takes traditional Zelda formula of the time and alters it in just the right way. As you already know, the game introduces a captivating 3-day cycle, adding a sense of urgency and tension. The innovative time mechanic not only shapes the narrative, but also significantly impacts the gameplay, and with the Ocarina of Time, it adds another beautiful layer into the game. Though the 3-day cycle is controversial while among Zelda players, I think it serves as a refreshing departure from the typical Zelda structure, offering a more dynamic and fun experience. Now that you're back in the tower with the ocarina in hand, the happy mask salesman greets you once again and helps you turn back into your regular self using the Song of Healing. Nice. Now that things are going good for you, don't forget to tell him that you didn't get the mask and hope that he doesn't choke you to death. Well, never mind then. He gets mad and says some stuff or whatever about how the mask is magic and all that yada yada garbage. I'm a gamer. Do you expect me to read or something? Well, the only thing we get is that the mask is actually called Majora's Mask. Surprisingly, the name of the game. Well, after that, he kicks you out, and now you're on a quest to go to each of the 4 areas that surround Termina. Time to strap your pants in, boys, because we're not in Hyrule no more. And with that, it's time to go to the first area. Now take in that breath of fresh air because we're heading our way to the land of Woodfall. On the way there, we pass by a log that triggers a cutscene about Skull Kid and the fairies or whatever, and how secretly the Skull Kid isn't that bad of a guy. Yeah, well, I'll believe it when I see it, you know? Now forget about that fresh air and take in the musty bogs of the delightful southern swamplands where just about everything sucks a whole bunch. As we traverse through the dense foliage and eerie swamps, the first thing that strikes you is the hauntingly beautiful music that sets the tone for the Woodfall region. It is a melodic blend of mystery and impending doom. In fact, the theme that you hear here, yeah, I said that, provides an oddness to it with the horn sounds that reference the Deku pipes. Once you make your way through, you come to find that the water is poisoned just about everywhere you go. Not only that, but to get across you need to hitch a boat ride to where you want to go. But of course it's not that simple. Big Mr. Hairy Goggle Man needs you to find his Hot Witch X nearby, and to do that you've got to follow a monkey through a maze and then give her a potion after finding out she's not as hot as you thought. Now you finally get to go on that boat cruise, but not before being stopped by the group of monkeys outside that tells you that you, and only you, have to help them to save their mischievous brother inside of the Deku Palace, which is conveniently where the boat ride takes you. Making your way to the entrance of the palace, you're let in only to see that the brother monkey is about to be executed. Going back out, the monkeys help you sneak around the courtyard where you get to find your ultimate goal, the bean seller. His beans may be delicious and he may be cute, but hey, we've got a quest to go on. After reaching the monkey's brother, he asks you to pull out your pipes, the Deku pipes, where he teaches you the first of the temple songs, the Sonata of Awakening. Oh, did I also forget to mention that the Deku Princess is missing and you've got to save her? Well, now you know! On your way to Woodfall Temple, you meet the funny Owl Man from Ocarina of Time, who teaches you the Song of Soaring, so that whenever you hit an owl statue, it will be marked as a fast travel point. Well, that's quite intuitive, actually. After doing some more shenanigans in both Hylian and Deku form, you finally make your way to the central platform in which you need to play the special song taught to you by the Monkey Brother in order to summon the temple. When it comes to Woodfall Temple, it's a pretty good introduction to the dungeon system that this game presents. While it's not incredibly memorable by any means, it still has an interesting design that correlates with the Deku themes. It's also the place where you get the bow, you know. I guess that's important, I think. After banging your head against the wall trying to figure out baby puzzles, you soon come face to face with the boss of Woodfall Temple, Adalwa. The boss itself is pretty standard, and he even makes some cool chants while you're fighting him, you know? I always thought he was just saying his own name when I was a kid. Now I just don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's asking his mom for 5 more minutes of playtime. The boss fight is pretty straightforward. Flashbang him with the Deku form and then slice him up, depending on which version you're playing, whether it's the N64 or the 3DS version. But after that, you get his silly face and get teleported into a weird trippy bubble dimension where you meet the giant, who teaches you a song to use at the end of the game. After that, you scoop up the Deku Princess into a bottle and bring her back to her dad and save the day. But hey, don't sit down for long. It's time to reset back to the first day and start the process all over again. Let's go, man. We got no time to waste over here. Now get ready to freeze your butt off because we're heading up to the north. Welcome to the secondary of Majora's Mask. This is Snowhead. As you can see, just about everything is almost or completely frozen solid. After fighting through some Tektites and the wolves, you make your way into the first area of Snowhead. Luckily, you're not going to be there for long because we've got to do a bunch of other stuff rather than pay attention to those 2 guys inside of that one house arguing about something or other. Now we've got an owl to follow. Following him using the feathers he leaves behind, we go across a bridge of invisible platforms into a cave where we get the lens of truth, making us see the unseen, making our way back much easier. Because we're in a video game, you've got to test out your new item by following this weird looking Goron ghost guy thing. Following him up the cliff, we arrive at a hot spring that also doubles as the grave of the proud Goron hero, Darmani. Darmani unfortunately passed away not too long ago because of the Skull Kid's antics, causing Snowhead to completely freeze over. Distraught with the fact that he can no longer help his people, the player takes on his burden by mending his soul into a mask using the Song of Healing. Congratulations, you've acquired the Goron mask. With this, we can transform into a big guy with cool mega punches and really silly Goron rolls. After doing some backtracking, we find ourselves inside of the Goron village, where an annoying little baby can be heard screaming like the little infant that it is. Turns out the baby won't stop crying unless you know the special song that Darmani once knew to calm the baby down. To do that, we've got to go exploring once again to find the old Goron chief who is frozen in a block of ice. Once we free him though, with a cup of hot water, he teaches us the first part of the song, and when we get back, the baby helps us finish it by giving us access to the Goron's lullaby, which, as an added bonus, is able to put any Goron to sleep. With this new power at your disposal, it's time to take on the badness of Snowhead, but first we need to use our sick parkour skills as a Goron, as well as using the Goron's lullaby only once to gain access to the temple inside. Welcome everyone to Snowhead Temple, the eeriest dungeon in all of Majora's Mask. Snowhead Temple is easily one of my personal least favorite dungeons, especially while growing up. Snowhead Temple is easily one of my personal least favorite dungeons, especially while growing up. Having to figure out the whole verticalness of this level, plus having to drop the ice blocks off the edge to gain access to different rooms while having to keep resetting, really gets your gears grinding. But once you figure out all of that, go into different rooms, and you eventually fight the mini-boss of this dungeon, which is Majora's Mask's version of a Wizrobe, in which by defeating him, you also get the fire arrows. That's pretty, neat, I think. Maybe you'll pick up some stray fairies on the side before you're ready to face the boss of this time-consuming, godforsaken temple, a goat. Meat, goat, or god, depending on, you know, how you feel at the time. The mechanical ram monster thing with a human face. Well, that's not gonna be nightmare fuel for anyone, I bet. The boss fight is one of the easiest, but is also one of the most fun in the entire game. Use the Goron form to slam into him from above using the sick ramps in the boss room, and then hit him a bunch, and then you're done. After that, you'll get another one of the giants freed, and you're just about done here because you've just brought spring back to Snowhead. Before you go, check out the Powder Keg Goron as well as the Goron race so you can get yourself some fancy schmancy gold dust. Used for upgrading your sword at the house in the beginning. Remember that place? Turns out these guys arguing are able to upgrade your sword if you have the right stuff, but just know that you'll lose your sword for the time being. After bringing spring to Snowhead, it's time to finally head out once more. But first, we need to make a couple of pit stops. On the way, first you're gonna need to grab yourself a powder keg and go on over to the Milk Road, where a big old boulder is blocking the path to where you gotta go. Put the keg down and kaboom! You've now opened your way to Romani Ranch, where you get to meet Romani herself and her hot, smoking older sister. You find your horse being looked after by the sister after it ran away. Here you relearn Epona's song once again, and you're reunited with your little steed. There's also an optional quest that we're gonna come back to, but that's for later. On your way out of here, make sure to absolutely destroy the Gorman brothers in their own challenge, because they absolutely suck. Now, beyond the icy exterior, Snowhead reveals a poignant narrative that tugs at the heartstrings, uncovering the tale of the troubled spirit Darmani and witnessing the transformation of the land and how it deeply hurt its inhabitants adds a layer of depth to Majora's Mask, making it more than just a quest for masks and temples. However, we've got no time to waste, only a baker's dozen resets more to go before we're done. Now we're halfway there, and halfway to me contemplating my existence for writing this completely garbage script. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of it all. Let's get a move on as we go into the west of Termina into Great Bay, and the dark soap opera secrets that lie within. So after jumping the fence with Epona, you immediately get sucked into a story scene where you must help this still floating Zora onto the coast of the beach. Once he's up there, he's gonna bust out with his sick guitar made of cool edgy fish bones as he sings a song about love or some icky yucky garbage stuff like that. After he goes on and on about singing, he dies. Yup. The Zora we saved, who we come to know as Mikau, has died right then and there. Paired with a very tasteful off-screen burying of him by the player, that's just, you know, that's beautiful, Nintendo. First the existential crisis, then the sad Goron spirit who's stuck in limbo, and now this. You did a good job. Don't know how you got this made this good, but you did it! Did I also mention that Mikau passes on his burden to save his loved ones and his children to you once you play the Song of Healing to turn him into the Zora mask, which lets you swim around and make cool, zappy electric barriers? No? Oh well. That's actually pretty cool. With these new underwater powers and a fresh resolve to save the soul that resides within your masked family, you take to the water to go on the egg fetching quest. Throughout this quest, you use the bottles you collected to snatch up each egg, of which there are 7, then you bring them to a weird ghoul marine researcher who may or may not be plotting to eat them when you're not looking. Most of these eggs, however, come from the pirate's fortress, a Gerudo base near Great Bay that's holding the eggs for whatever reason. Probably money or something, because, you know, they're pirates. And because the Pirate's Fortress is probably one of my least favorite segments in all of Majora's Mask, besides the fun I had using the stone mask because it's my favorite and it makes me look pretty, I'm going to skip this segment, but I will leave you with a pretty sick visual. Once you bring all of your eggs back into one basket into the aquarium, the eggs will hatch strangely into the formation of a music scale. Pulling out your sick bonefish guitar will teach you a brand new song, the new wave bossa nova. Once that's done and out of the way, you're free to leave the research lab never to see your kids again. Yeah, father of the year over here, am I right? By this time, you'll have gained access to the Zora Hall, where you get to parade around wearing your dead Zora friend's skin, talking to them like they still know who you are. You're sick! Going outside, you'll meet Lulu, Mikau's fiance, and the mother of their children. At first, she seems to be in a sort of trance-like state, probably due to the fact that her eggs were stolen and her lover was presumed dead. But not anymore, baby! Once you pull out that sick bonefish guitar and play to her that soulful new wave bossa nova song your just-born kids taught you, she'll come to her senses, as well as awaken the Mega Turtle. Using the hookshot that you got from the stupid Pirate's Fortress segment, remember, you can latch onto the turtle as it takes you to the third and widely agreed upon most controversial dungeon of this game, Great Bay Temple. Great Bay Temple, the source of many people's frustrations in their childhoods or just first time playing. Now guys, I'm about to say something really controversial, but I hope you'll stick with me to the end. Please don't click off. I'm actually really lonely. Guys, I have to fess up. I actually enjoyed this temple, at least more than Snowhead. I know it's really controversial, but anyway, this temple is actually pretty fun once you get to know how everything works. Basically, you have to use Link's regular form as well as your Zora form in order to solve the puzzles, such as changing water levels in certain pumps to elevate yourself, and the ever frustrating directional water changes that everyone gets so upset about. Regardless, after you do all that, and you take care of the mini-boss of the dungeon that I actually forgot about, never mind, I remember, it was the frog thing and the weird eye guy. Also within this dungeon, you get access to the ice arrows, which, unlike Ocarina of Time, are actually useful. In this game, if you use the ice arrows on certain things, they can actually freeze up. This is mostly used in Great Bay when you want to get across the water by creating frozen platforms, which is really cool and an interesting way to show off the ice arrows. So after completing all of the puzzles, you finally get access to the boss room where you get to fight the one and only Yorg inside of his little baby fish tank. Another simple boss pattern, you load up Yorg with arrows and then hop into his fish tank as a Zora and use your really cool electric barrier to take him down. After the fight, you get York's face to put on your wall, as well as another cutscene about the giants with only one down remaining to go. Before leaving Great Bay, don't forget to check out the weird Beaver Brothers with even weirder multicolored spinning eyes. They give you a bottle if you beat their challenge. Now let's go already. We got people to see and spooky ghouls to take out in the next area. Come on! Now we're just about at the home stretch, everybody. I don't know how long we are into this video, but we got a little more ways to go, so here we go! As we approach Ikana Canyon, the atmosphere undergoes a dramatic shift. The haunting melody that accompanies us sets the stage for the mysteries that lie ahead. The desolate landscape, punctuated by eerie stone structures, immediately captures the player's imagination. Once you get through the several hurdles, and the exploding Negirons, and bomb chews, you'll find the Poe Hunter guy from Ocarina. Just chillin'. Talking to him for a bit lets you hookshot up there when... Talking to him for a bit lets you hookshot up there and you enter Ikana. For real this time, provided you also followed my advice from before and beat the Gorman brothers so you can get the Garo mask. As you can see, Ikana Kingdom is a very dead place for lack of a better term, but it's probably my favorite in the entire game because of the eeriness as well as the amount of stuff to do there. And we're gonna go through all of it right now. Strap your pants in once again because I'm about to blow through all this because this video is gonna be really long regardless. Our first stop, the Ikana Graveyard, is a chilling testament to the game's ability to convey a sense of loss and despair. The tombstones, the restless spirits, and the mysterious music create an atmosphere of both sadness and intrigue. It's a graveyard that not only houses the deceased, but also echoes with the ghosts of the Ikana Kingdom's forgotten era. Head into the graveyard where you can play the Sonata of Awakening to wake up Captain Kita. He's gonna run away, so you stun him and beat him to death again. After that, he gives you the Captain's Hat. This will be important for later. After that, use the mask you just got to open up one of the graves in the graveyard. Down there, you'll fight an Iron Knuckle. After giving it the business, you'll relearn the Song of Storms. This will also be important for later. Go back to Ikana Canyon, past the music box house, go into the cave where you fight a spooky ghost, play the Song of Storms, and the water will return to the river and cause all the spooky mummy men to disappear. Next, you want to put a bomb outside of this little girl's house. Once she runs out, you can go inside where you find the girl's father inside of the closet. Another haunting element when it comes to the music box house is you see the little girl Pamela, she has a secret that she needs to be kept hidden. Her father, a person who was fascinated with researching paranormal phenomena, caused him to move him and his daughter to Ikana Canyon. Aside from researching things like the Poes and the Garo assassins, he was most interested in the Gibdos. For reasons we're not sure of, he was suddenly cursed into becoming one of them, and it's up to you to save him. Play the Song of Healing to get the Gibdo mask and return the father back to normal. After that, you get the Spooky Mummy mask to go to the bottom of the well, where you can do a bunch of tasks for the Gibdo down there, and by the end you get the Mirror Shield, a shield that lets you reflect light onto any surface that it's pointing at. After that, you're on to Ikana Castle. I don't remember a lot about this mini dungeon, but the brief of it all is that you make your way through the castle, kill the Redettes, or make them dance all funny with the Gibdo mask, Captain's hat, or Garo mask, and solve the puzzles in each room. After all of that, you move on to the mini bosses of Ikana Castle. As a funny little Easter egg, you can use the Captain's hat to fool the soldiers and the king into thinking you're Captain Kita, that guy from earlier, but they still fight you anyway. Shoot arrows at the curtains to shine light into the room, and then use the Mirror Shield to stun them and kill them. After that, rinse and repeat with the king. Afterward, he teaches you the Elegy of Emptiness, a song that lets you make soul husks. Really, Nintendo? You give kids nightmares for that? Do you know how scared I was of the Ben Drowned creepypasta as a kid? God damn it, Nintendo! After you get the Elegy of Emptiness, you can go to Stone Tower, where you use the song to have your statue sit on multiple pressure plates to help yourself up into the entrance of the dungeon for real this time. Stone Tower Temple. Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah. The first part of the dungeon is pretty straightforward. This time, since it's the final dungeon, you'll be using all the different powers of your mask, plus all the items that you have accumulated up until that point. For the first segment, all you have to do is solve each of the puzzles and then get to the mini-boss room of the temple. In this room, you meet the Garo Master. All you gotta do is aggressively break his ankles and slice him up, and then he'll explode himself, leaving you with the light arrows. After getting the light arrows, you can flip the entire dungeon upside down by hitting the red jewel outside of the temple. From here on, the rooms stay the same, but the challenges are different. It honestly shouldn't be too hard unless you're me and you struggled on it for a few days. But to be fair, that was when I was a child, so moving on. After going through the dungeon one more time with a few extra mini bosses and the Grim Reaper, I actually forgot his name. I'll put his name up here and his picture. You'll get both the boss key and the Giant's Mask. After getting all of these items, go into the same room as where you fought the Garo Master to see it's actually the entrance to the boss room the entire time. Jump into the weird sand hole to land into a desert. Now it's time to fight Twin Mold. Twin Mold can be fought two ways, but I like the super cool kaiju fight way. Drink some special milk from the milk girls at the ranch and you'll get super magic. Put on the Giant's Mask and start brawling until Twin Mold bites the dust, or sand? Make sure you get the Bug's Head and free the final giant. Now you're ready for the end game. Ikana has and will always be my favorite area in all of Majora's Mask. The pinnacle of Ikana's mysteries is the Stone Tower Temple, a dungeon that challenges both your wits and your understanding of the game's mechanics. Flipping the temple upside down creates a mind-bending experience, requiring players to approach puzzles in an entirely new way, and is honestly another amazing example of how underrated this game is, and furthermore, why I love it so much. We finally reached the final stretch of the reset hell of a game that I love so damn much. But first, why don't we go over some of the side missions that made this game so charming in the first place? Majora's Mask is one of the only Zelda games that made me care about completing side missions at all, mostly because they revolve around getting cool masks. If we go back to Romani Ranch, we can get one of the most useful masks in the entire game, the Bunny Hood. Aw, sick! We got some ears slapped on us, now it's time to go fast. You can also help out Romani with her little problems too. Talk to her and she'll tell you about how aliens or whatever come to snatch up the cows or something. Cool! Come back that same night and fend them off her with your sick trick shot skills. After that, you get to ride with her smoking older sister to deliver the milk to Clocktown. Just defend the carriage from the stupid lame Gorman brothers, and you'll get your sick rewards, breast hugs. Oh, and also the Romani mask that makes you look like a cow or something, so you can get into the milk bar to get the special milk needed for the Twin Mold boss, but you know, booby hugs. Speaking of the Romani mask, what about the time when you go into the milk bar and see the sad, angry Mario guy drinking his sorrows away with sweet, silky lactose? Help the Round Zora man put a band together to play a reference or something, which causes the Circus Mario guy to start crying and give you the circus leader's mask, which makes his lame brothers real sad. As an added bonus, if you choose to do the milk cart chase sequence again after resetting and you wear the circus leader's mask, the Gorman brothers will not attack you. Even though they gave a small child a mask that summons ancient assassins to try and murder him, they're still good guys, right? Nope, not at all. Stupid. Now we get into the real endgame. Go to the clock tower at the night of the final day to have a rematch with the stupid skull baby. This time you're armed to the teeth and ready to stomp this little baby out. Play the song the Giants taught you to stop the big scary moon from crashing down, letting you fly up inside the moon somehow.
Oh, damn it!
Once you're inside the weird moon dream sequence, go up to the tree and talk to the little kids that look suspiciously like the happy mask salesman, except they have boss masks on. Hand them over your masks and do little mini games with each of them if you've collected all of the masks, like I told you to, but also didn't maybe. By the end, when you talk to the creepy Majora kid, he'll give you the Fierce Deities mask, the ultimate cheese of any and all Zelda games. Nice! Now baby Majora wants to play cops and robbers, and we're the robbers, I think. We teleport into a shroom trip room and we blitz through the final boss of the game. How do you do that, you may ask? Well, stupid, just drink the special milk from the boob hug to get the infinite magic and put the funny mask on that makes you look like adult Link to shoot cool sword beams and kill the boss in under a minute. It's easy. Or you play it normal like a psycho, I guess, if that's your cup of tea. You friggin' weirdo. But hey, you won! After the final boss, everyone gets to have their sappy reunion with each other because you just saved the world, guy. Annoying Fairy number 2 gets reunited with her brother. And Skull Kid has nothing happen to him because of friendship and second chances or something. Skull Kid then smells you for a long time and says that you smell like a Link. And then the mask salesman says a bunch of words and then vanishes into sand. What happens after that? Everyone has a party. The end. Wait, that was it? Yeah, pretty much. Alright, the end! Now, Majora's Mask is held in a strange place in a lot of people's hearts in the Zelda fandom. A lot of people, like myself, love it to its very core despite the flaws that it has and things that other people may see. Yeah, the time limit making it annoying with constantly having to reset, and yes, some parts with the temples can be very tedious having to backtrack and having to maneuver around a lot, but comparing those to things like getting to know everyone with the Bomber's Notebook, doing all the mask side quests, and making people happy, to healing all of the tormented souls in the world, it leaves you with a feeling of accomplishment that no other Zelda game has ever been able to produce, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who love this game, and there's also a lot of people who just equally hate it. I know I'm not the first person on the internet to come to all these conclusions, but I'm glad that I got to express my own personal opinions and outlooks on the game. Zelda has been a big part of my childhood since I could even comprehend and express interest in anything. Growing up as a weird freaky kid who kinda stood out, maybe even drew me to this game because, just like me, it was the odd one out in the Zelda franchise, and with its weird world and dark, kooky atmosphere, it was honestly something I could relate to as a small child. Of course I wasn't that dark, is what I'm saying, but I was always just kind of different from everybody, and this game really connected to me. This game also handles certain darker topics perfectly. As a kid playing it, I couldn't understand what the characters were feeling exactly, but now, as a young adult who struggles with depression and anxiety, the character actions in the game really connected me now. Interacting with these characters that have come to grips with their fate that everything they've lived for is going to come to an end, there's nothing they can do to stop it, really tugs deep into the darker topics that Majora's Mask just isn't afraid to put forward. Even though the end is inevitable to them, it's up to you, the player, to ease their pains and give their last moments some happiness and closure by doing these types of side quests for them. From giving a handsome toilet paper to reuniting a lost couple moments before the end of the world, knowing that in each other's arms they will be okay, shows the impact that you can make on them and how your choices in-game and even in real life make someone's day just a little better.
Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for watching this really long video. I really love putting the script together and making this video for you, even though it's been going on for quite some time now. I would like to give you all a parting message from me, Gabe-Up. I absolutely love Zelda, and I always will. This has been Gabe-Up, and I will see you all next time. Later, guys!